The Lioness of Brittany, Jeanne de Clisson. Losing your mind from grief or rage isn't just a modern breakdown. History has its share of people who snapped so hard, entire kingdoms felt the aftershocks. Let's go back to the year 1300. A baby girl is born, red hair, noble blood, and a valuable future. Her name is Jeanne, and her parents, thrilled. She wasn't a daughter, she was currency. A beautiful child meant power and alliances. So as soon as she was old enough, they married her off. At just 12, Jeanne became a wife, and soon a mother of 2. Her life seemed set, arranged, predictable, caged. But then at 26, everything shattered. Her husband died unexpectedly, leaving her a single mother in a world that chewed up women like her and spat them out. She remarried quickly because a young widow was still a valuable asset. But the second husband didn't last. His noble family thought Jeanne was too poor, so they got the marriage annulled. Classy. Her third husband, though, Oliver de Clisson, was different. They fell in love, had 5 more children, and for a while, everything was stable. Then, in 1341, he died. The Duke of Brittany is dead. He had no heir, so his widow Jeanne turned to her lover Olivier for help securing the throne for their son. But their plan backfired. What should have been a simple succession turned into the Breton War of Succession. A brutal, bloody conflict that engulfed France and England. Jeanne and Olivier sided with the French, but Olivier soon found himself captured. Oddly, the English traded him back to the French for almost nothing. His body was left to rot, while his head was sent back to Brittany, nailed on a spike as a warning to anyone who dared defy the king. And this smelled like treason to the French king, so he had Olivier arrested upon arrival in Paris. A sham trial followed, and on August 1343, Olivier was publicly beheaded in Paris. When Joanna found out, she didn't cry. She brings her sons to stare at their father's decaying, severed head. She makes them look. Remember this. The king did this. Never forget. Then she sells everything. Land, jewels, her noble life, and raises a private army. She rides to a French loyalist castle. The widow wails at the gate. The guards open it in pity. Her hidden soldiers storm in and massacre everyone. She spares one man. "Tell the king," she says. Jeanne de Clisson sends her regards, and so her war begins. She becomes a terror on the Normandy coast, raising castles, sacking outposts. Then she buys 3 warships, paints them jet black, dyes the sails blood red, and names her flagship, My Revenge. Becomes a pirate, Noah legend, haunting the French coast. It's haunting the French coast. She doesn't take prisoners. She personally beheads every nobleman she finds. In every ship, she lets one survivor live to spread the tale. Soon, sailors whisper of the Lioness of Brittany slicing through the mist on blood-sailed ships. The English love it. Start funding her. 8. But you don't stay undefeated forever. In 1348, the French navy catches up. Her ships are destroyed in a brutal battle, but Jeanne escapes in a tiny boat. 6 days adrift, no food, no water, and die. But on the 7th day, she washes up on the English coast, half dead but still defiant. The King of England welcomes her as a hero, legend. 2 years later, her enemy, King Philip, dies. Her war is over. She marries an English knight and quietly returns to Brittany, where she lives out the rest of her days. She dies at 59, a noblewoman, a widow, a mother, a pirate queen. The merchant who mistook obsession for love, Jirowemon, is a successful charcoal merchant from a village in Japan. But in the late 1600s, he's feeling burnt out, so he heads to Edo for a vacation. And somehow he winds up wandering into Yoshiwara, the famed red light district. Whoops. The moment he steps in, he's surrounded by the most beautiful women he's ever seen. And for the first time in his life, they actually smile at him. You see, Jirowemon had survived smallpox as a child, but it left his face scarred. Back home, the women wouldn't even look at him. But here in the Yoshiwara, they flirt with him. They wave at him. And then he sees her, the most exquisite courtesan in all of Yoshiwara. A top-rank Orion who only entertains nobles and the filthy rich. Jirowemon's not a noble, just a wealthy merchant. But to his shock, she accepts him. She smiles at him. She treats him kindly. He falls hard for her. He gives up everything to be with her. buys her gifts, lavishes her with money. He thinks she sees past his scars. He's never been loved. He's never been seen. But while he's drowning in fantasy, his business back home crumbles. She walks past him. He snaps. He forces his way into a tea house she enters. He draws a short sword and cuts her in half. Her torso clings to the railing. Her legs tumble down the stairs. He runs to the roof, sword dripping with blood. The neighbors shout. The police throw water on him. He slips, falls, and is arrested. The company collapses. His estate is sold. It's ruined. One day he spots Yatsuhashi again. She's in a courtesan's parade. He calls out to her. She ignores him. That's when it hits him. She never loved him. It was just business. In December 1696, he sees her one last time. Just say something nice to me, he begs. Anything. For Jirowemon, it killed twice. Jirowemon is sentenced to death. Some say heartbreak kills. Meet Lord Minimus, the man who dueled a noble to death. England, 1619. A baby named Geoffrey Hudson is born in the town of Oakham. Everything about him seems normal, except he never grows. By the age of 3, he's still just 19 inches tall. But beneath it all, he knows the truth. He's a pet, not a person. Still, he plays his part until war comes. In the 1600s, people with dwarfism were treated like circus acts, and his father knew it. So to protect him, he offers Geoffrey as a gift to the Duchess of Buckingham. She accepts. He becomes a court dwarf, an exotic curiosity meant to amuse nobles. When the Queen of England visits, they hide Geoffrey inside a giant pie. At dinner, he jumps out in a tiny suit of armor, brandishing a sword. The Queen laughs. She loves him. She brings him to London. Geoffrey gets the royal treatment, luxury, education, servants. When civil war erupts between Parliament and the King, Geoffrey begs the Queen for a real role. He's trained. He rides horses. He can shoot, so she makes him a captain in the royalist army. When a noble named Charles Crofts mocks him, Geoffrey challenges him to a duel. Crofts accepts, still thinking it's a joke. But on the dueling field, Crofts pulls out a squirt gun. Geoffrey, a real pistol. When the signal is given, Crofts fires first and misses. Geoffrey fires and hits Crofts right between the eyes. Crofts drops dead. Silence. They laugh. But he's not playing anymore. In France, now in exile, Geoffrey demands respect. All right, now listen up, you remaining nobles. This isn't a game anymore. We are at war. And if you don't take me seriously, then maybe this will wake you up. Who was Geoffrey Hudson, and why did Queen Elizabeth I have him put to death? He was the Queen's pet, a handsome young man who had everything a 17th century gentleman could want, including a noble title and a royal pension. But he also had a very bad temper. In 1626, he murdered a fellow nobleman in broad daylight. It was illegal, and although the Queen pleaded for his life, he was sentenced to exile. The Queen was furious, not because he killed someone, but because he broke her favorite law, dueling. There he spent 25 years as a slave before escaping. At sea, he was captured by Barbary pirates and sold into slavery in North Africa. He returned to England in 1651, only to be imprisoned for being Catholic. He died penniless in 1682 and was buried in an unmarked grave. And from there, he vanished again, never to be seen. But some say that he reappeared at the Queen's funeral in disguise as Lord Minimus, one of her attendants.